talk about the trade made yesterday to move your captain and the difficulty of being, at the point where you have to trade Logan Wormald?
Yeah, hard day. I think when you think of Logan and him showing up here basically as a boy and turned into a man and put in a real good career here, represented us in so many good ways, leadership, competitiveness, hockey sense, got better, even with his size being a bit of a negative, it never affected him in any way, shape, or form. So really proud of Logan as a Hurricane and want to wish him all the best going forward. Hopefully he can go to Spokane and do some good things for them.
How important was it to move him to an organization that obviously has a good program and has a chance to compete and win?
Yeah, Logan and I had conversations even in the summertime about things, and he felt that if he was going to get moved, that he would have preferred to go to the West, just because he's from Langley, and to finish off in a conference that is kind of different for him, and so that was kind of first and foremost. Although we did have a couple East teams that were interested, really we tended to gravitate more to the West teams, and he has a chance now to be on a good team that's probably underachieved to this point. I kind of look at it that way, and so hopefully he can do something good there.
Talk about the return. You get the 2 third-round picks and a 4th in this coming draft, and the additional 4th as well, back from the Chiefs.
Yeah, pretty good return. I think that you're always thinking, hey, you could have got more. When you're making deals, it's one of those things where, it's all on timing, right? And if you wait too long, maybe the return isn't the same, or maybe it's a lot better. Or maybe the player gets injured, So there's lots of things that come into play. We just felt the time was right to do it prior to Christmas, and he could get with Spokane here for the last few games with their schedule before Christmas, and it kind of gives us a chance to regroup here and kind of do some things in the meantime.
When you look at the draft now in 26, a first, 2/3, 3/4, 11 picks in turn in the first 7 rounds, assuming you get the first from Kelowna. So how important was that for you to really stockpile this year's draft?
Yeah, I guess I didn't answer that part of the question earlier, Well, really important. I think that what we did last year, we traded a lot of assets to build that team last year. And, we needed to recover picks. That's basically your lifeline to continue to, grow your team. And, we're pretty fortunate to have, really put ourselves in a pretty good position now at the draft to continue to, to add some good draft picks come that time. But, not easy to do. I know, I've been concerned about it for a long time. And, finally it looks like that we're getting to a point that we're getting somewhat whole in a lot of ways.
Still a month away from the deadline. So what is the focus now for you that you've moved on from Logan Wormald?
Yeah, for the most part, we'll continue to try to add to our group. From a competitive nature, I think we need to be more competitive individually and collectively. I think the ability to compete is it's like a skill. I think sometimes it's innate and sometimes it's learned. But I think we need our group, our young group, to understand that we need to compete. and game preparation. Be ready for games. What might have worked at U18 or U15 or whatever doesn't necessarily work in Major Junior because it's a hard league, and you're getting ready to play all the time. And I think it's important to understand that game preparation is very, very important, and for us to come out of the gate and be ready for every game as soon as the puck drops, that's first and foremost. But competing, hockey sense, we're gonna continue. I don't see us moving anybody unless we feel that we can really make it worth our while. But I think I can see us attaining just to make our group better.
What kind of impact did Wormald have on the organization over the years?
Well, consistency. I think competitiveness. I think when you look at the stature of the player and how he played and how hard he played, and he could get in underneath bigger guys and win one-on-one battles. I think he was part of a line with him and Edwards and Marcus that was arguably as good a line as there was in the league when they played together. And he was a big part of that. Can score, could make a play, played the right way, was a leader both on and off the ice in the community and at the rink here. So, his family, Brent and Nicole, awesome people. For us to say that he's a Hurricane, I think is a real tribute to Logan.
And maybe how important now is maybe guys like Fabrizi and Cousins need to be the glue to the roster with their veteran and their experience?
Well, all the older guys. I think when you look at this group that's in our dressing room right now, there's probably 20 new players from last year, maybe more. So somebody has to step up, and whether you're an old player or a young player, I don't care. Step up and compete and lead in your own way, whatever that is. Whether it's a physical nature, whether it's skill, whether it's being a good team guy, it's all the factors that come into play.
So what does the future maybe look like for that C on the jersey?
Yeah, no reason to jump at that yet. We'll take that in stride and see. We can go without a C possibly for a while, but I think that's something that we just need to discuss and see who emerges probably as much. You don't want to shoehorn somebody into something that they're not ready for. But I think there's some good people in our dressing room, and we'll see how it turns out.
Talk about the strides that you've seen from the group since the start of the season to now. You look at the last 14 games, 500, 7-7. So have you seen encouraging signs of improvement?
Yeah, I think the trip to British Columbia was a real key time. I think when you go on those trips, it can be a little bit ominous for when you're looking at it, and yet our guys went out. The first 3 games we were 2-1. The last 3 games we were 1-2. So, had a pretty good trip. It was a really good group trip for our guys to get together and be with one another on a hard trip, lots of kilometers. But those are really good trips for teams. Sometimes our travel in our league is looked at as negative, and I've always said it's a positive. It's and I really believe that. I think being on the bus with your teammates and growing and learning and growing as a group, I think is really important. But I think our team, our coaches have done a great job just focusing on getting better. And I think we've done that individually and collectively. We've gotten better in a lot of ways, but we still got a long ways to go, especially in the competitive nature part of it.
Will there be any rush to maybe fill that 20-year-old spot now that they got one open?
We'll see what comes up. We're in no real rush. We will add if we get a chance to. That could make us a little bit better. Whether it's a little bit or a lot, depending on the situation. We'll see what's out there. It all depends upon the market and what's out there.